I always tell people nothing happens unless somebody makes it happen.
So how would you characterize Birmingham then in relationship to other cities where race relations is concerned today?
Well, I think our race relations today are not as good as they were 10 years ago. The two races have pulled apart in a lot of ways. The politics has something to do with it.
Is that because of Birmingham being now predominantly a black city?
That has something to do with it. You see, I insist that segregation was not a matter of laws. It was a matter of inbred customs. The thing that held the system together was not so much the Bull Connors. They were people that responded to something, and they made a political play out of it. George Wallace knew he could go to Chicago and find people that were very strong racists that would vote for him if he would go to Chicago, and he found people in Wisconsin, and he found people all over the country. But what I'm saying is that race relations are either getting better or getting worse all the time. It's an emotion. There are a lot of emotions attached to it. It's almost human nature for people that are different or look different to be suspicious of each other, whether it be prehistoric tribes or be the Middle East or be Armenia and Azerbaijan or
wherever in the world, it doesn't matter.
Croatia. It takes a lot of civilization to deal with that. And I think from 60 on, through Jimmy Carter, whoever was president realized that to have good relations race relations in America was very important. That the president of the United States make it very clear that this is what we need to do. Now, after that, the Republicans really set about on a Southern strategy that was begun, I don't think by Nixon, but during the Nixon days. I think Nixon, for all his criticism, he stood well on this issue. But they saw that they needed to take the South away from the Democrats, and they were very careful to actually raise racial issues and come down on what they considered to be the white side of the issue. And over and over and over. And Bush did the same. And I'm not saying they were mean-spirited. I'm sure that they would consider it very unfair to say this was racist. But I don't think there's any question. For instance, I think the enthusiasm of the Bush administration in setting up the gerrymandered black districts was in part a realization for every black district we'll create 4 Republican districts. By reducing the Democratic vote in these districts, we can take over the Congress. And I think a big part of taking over the Congress has very little to do with that contract with America. It was mainly that they gerrymandered the districts to reduce the Democratic office holders and increase the Republican office holders, at the same time appeal to the black because he's getting more black congressmen. He might get a black congressman that'll vote his way, but lose 3 others that would have voted his way. The world is full of unintended results.
Absolutely.
Like they're building prisons. They want to put everybody in prison, but they don't want the education program in the prison. Well, let me tell you, young people are going to be learning something. And I think we're creating crime universities. They're going to go to prison and learn how to be better criminals, and the crime wave will get worse and worse and worse until we begin using prevention and and one of the best prevention programs is take these kids that most of them will test out about the 3rd grade because they were socially promoted, but they were never able to do the work after about the 2nd grade. And you could, I worked with a program at Draper Prison where we took those kids and in 2.5 to 3 years qualified them for a GED. We actually had some scholarship money to send ex-criminals to college. And one of those earned a PhD and has done a lot of good work. I've had, but people say, well, I don't want to help them, I want to punish them. Yeah. Well, they end up punishing their own families unless they approach the problem as rational. They're either going to teach them to be better criminals or teach them to be better citizens. I'd rather teach them to be better citizens. Yeah.